And we're live with the Spec Sheet Technology Show, Rodecaster CallMe edition.
It's a show about technology.
It is,
and it might
isn't
be what you call a podcast. I don't even know what that means anymore. Do we still have a website? Is it specsheet.tech? We're so out of the loop with what we do here. I don't even know if we have a website.
What are we even doing here? So we do have a website, but that website's domain name expired, and I just saw that it came back up to where I think you had it registered, and now it's been released to the point where I can purchase it. But they want to charge like $50 for like the first year reduced price, and then $80 a year after that. And I just don't know with what this show's bringing in, whether or not $80 a year for a domain name is worth it for us at this point. What do you think?
I think the show's bringing in $74.99 per year. So that's what, in my way of understanding math, is that's about a $5 loss annually.
Deficit, yeah.
So I'm not sure I would sign on to that. That may be bad math.
Yeah, well,
Call me a business mogul, or maybe say I'm not one, but that math doesn't math.
It doesn't math, right?
Anyway, usually, usually just as kind of a broadcasting crutch, I guess. When you don't have a lot to say, what you do is you know, if you're trying to get into the swing of something, you plug the website, and you've got phone numbers you plug, and this and that. But we don't really have any of that anymore. It's been so long since we've done this on a regular basis that whatever infrastructure we may have had in the past is gone. I will say that we're live streaming on my personal YouTube channel. I'm hearing myself.
Yeah,
my personal YouTube channel, M. Van Dieven, and also on our Spec Sheet YouTube channel. We're simulcasting.
That's right.
So you might be a little confused as to why you're seeing us on one as opposed to the other. I think basically it makes, I mean, I've got like, I'm not saying I'm a roundly followed individual on the internet, but I mean, on my YouTube channel, I've got about 1,500 followers. I don't know why. That's not bad for as little as I do on the internet anymore. That's not terrible. And I think our Spec Sheet channel has probably something like less than 100 subscribers.
It just went under 50. We just lost a subscriber.
Oh, did we lose some? Oh,
yeah.
Well,
we lost one. Well, I mean, lately I've been live streaming, not regularly, but enough, like a series of doing.
Is that what
apps.
lost us? Is that what sent us below 50?
That's what I'm getting to here. Let me get to the punchline. I've been live streaming me creating apps using AI. Basically, so we're always getting requests in for like us to do stuff. So one of our followers asked me to build an app, so I did. But I told him the rules for me doing that was I'm going to live stream the whole thing, and it's going to be I'm going to use AI for it all, even though I can do it myself. And after I think we're up to 3 hours into the series, like we have a completed app, but we lost followers. So I think I'm really doing us a real service doing that.
So it was so informative and appreciated by the listening audience that you lost subscribers. Okay, hey, you know what? You win some and you lose some, Curtis, and you may have lost some, but we can get them back. So
it's like that domain name.
That's what I don't get. I am so sick and tired of these domain names where the initial sign up, the initial registration of the domain name, it's like, we'll pay you $5 to take this domain. Right. It's so ridiculously cheap. Mm-hmm. We're going to actually hand cash to you if you'll just accept this domain name as yours. And then follow that 12 months later, you've got to effectively mortgage your home in order to maintain this domain name. I think specsheet.tech, the .tech TLD is probably owned or maintained by Micronesia or some crazy little tiny island in the middle of the South Pacific. All of these weird TLDs are maintained and operated and governed by weird little countries that you wouldn't. Let's see, what's some, like I don't know. No examples coming to me at the moment. Yeah, but look into it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And I just think that re-registering a .tech domain name, when I saw the fee, $80, for a
Right.
.tech. I think that's what it was. $80
No,
for
$80. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
a .tech domain name, something that we don't even, like, we're not,
We post our
that's not
episodes.
justifiable from a
Yeah,
business
our
standpoint.
episodes are all on YouTube already for free, and they're on our Patreon. So through YouTube. So actually, no, those are hosted directly on Patreon. So like, yeah, what do we need the website for ultimately? I mean, if we had guests, then that would be a place to submit requests for guests. But again, you could do all like people comment on our videos. They know how to reach us by email already. We don't really need it. So
Yeah,
like,
who
I'm not
cares?
that concerned with it. The live streams I've been or the coding live streams, which I'm probably going to keep doing. I just got to figure out, am I going to do it on this channel or am I going to do it on my own channel? If it's going to cost us subscribers, then I probably should just move it to my own channel. But
I think you should do whatever the hell you want, and if they don't like it, they don't have to watch it.
That's
That's
true.
what you should do.
You know what? You're right, because like a lot of people did not enjoy watching me play Marvel Rivals, but I enjoyed it. So
That's
who
a
cares?
shame. Too bad
Yeah.
for them. Keep
Right.
doing what you want to do. Who
Well,
gives
that kind of
a
brings
shit?
us into tonight, which is our devices that we both use. Man, the way I have my
Yeah, what
mic-
are you doing laundry? Are you inside a dryer as you're doing the show?
Yes,
Good
you know,
Lord.
I got to double dip because how am I
Is
going
that
to
thing
make that
clipped at
$80?
all?
What?
Is that thing clipped to your shirt, or is it just kind of hanging down there?
It's clipped to my headset, which is a bad idea.
Well, that is.
Hold on.
That's a terrible. You need, it needs to be shirt secured as opposed to merely cable secured. I will say though, I don't mind the sound of that mic at all. It does pick up a lot of background noise, but I think you could gate some of that out on your Rodecaster,
Yeah.
Pro 2. Or
Yeah,
no,
I'm
you've
on
got the
Duo, though.
Rodecaster Duo, which
Yeah,
is
I'm on-
effectively a Rodecaster Pro 2, just less
Yeah.
channels, right? There's no
It is, yeah.
difference.
This is what annoys me
those.
about it. Like, I might just hold on. I'm gonna.
Well, you're fine now.
All right, I'll leave it alone.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, I like not having to have a mic in front of my face and that it sounds okay.
So we both have Rodecasters. They've come up with a new firmware update for the Rodecaster, and it allows you to do something that I thought seemed like an obvious feature from the very release of this device. This Rodecaster, it's really a powerful device. It's got an ARM chipset. It's running
Linux.
Is it Linux or is it a blend of Android? I thought it was a blend of Android of
Well,
some
that's
sort.
Linux. I mean, yeah.
Well, I know, but
yeah.
you know what I mean.
Right.
It's,
yeah. Well,
it's not running.
It's
Ubuntu.
basically, yeah, yeah. It's basically a dumbed down version of. At the very beginning, it was Android. I bet it still is.
So this thing has the juice in terms of processing power of a lot of mobile devices that are out there. It can do a lot. And an obvious feature to me whenever they released this thing was, why can't two people with a Rodecaster just type one another's IP addresses into some sort of a box and maybe forward a couple of ports on their router? Or I'm sure there could be some other infrastructure put into place to make that simpler, because a lot of people, you start talking about forwarding ports on your router, their eyes are going to glaze over.
Really
and
do
that's
that anymore. I mean, a lot of routers are smart enough to dynamically handle port forwarding. That the only reason to set up something like that is to have QoS or quality of service set on that port. And again,
well, I can't access Plex from the outside world without a port forward.
Well, but you could. It's just not set up to do that. Like there's
What's
ways
not
to
set
tell
up to Plex or the router?
the router and how you're connecting to Plex, the service, because like you can register the port that you're communicating on and tell it to allow, unless you want to switch the port. That's where you need port forwarding. If you want to say outside world, I want to connect port 4041, but internally I'm running it on 8080 or 80 or even 443, then port forwarding allows you to open up another port to an internal port and map it. But in terms of like a service behind your router being able to connect to the external internet and communicate back and forth, routers are smart enough now to handle that pretty well just with their own route. I can't think of what the device is called, but there's a way that it can register its port and be open on most modern routers.
So that even makes the point further. You wouldn't even need to get into your router necessarily and do any port forwarding. You could just go to whatsmyip.com or whatever, and any website that'll allow you to see your public IP address. Give that to your broadcasting partner. He types that into his Rodecaster. You type his into yours. Press a button. Boom. The two of you are now talking to one another. There's no middleman. There's no nothing. Just the two of you, direct connection. It would be ultra low latency. And so they finally come up with essentially something similar to what I thought they should have done from the very beginning. But you understand it far better than I do. What has Rode done?
Yeah, so let me step back. So what happened was there's a company called Vortex, and I can't think what their actual, sorry, that's not the name of the company. That's the product. I can't think of what their actual name is off the top of my head. But anyway, they have this product, Vortex, and it's designed for broadcast services to be able to communicate a high quality using an audio codec. And with that, and typically it's like a SIP type codec. What they did is they figured out, going back to the beginning of the Rode conversation here, this is a flavor of Linux that uses SSH. They were able to get into the device and basically understand the firmware and then build their own custom firmware that embedded their codec inside it.
So
And
wait a
it
minute. You don't access this or use this new feature by installing any sort of an officially sanctioned firmware
Oh, no, I'm telling
released.
you some background. So that's where this started. And this is part of where my biggest frustration comes from.
Okay.
So Vortex figured out I can load a custom firmware for my customers who are paying for my services, and they could use Rodecasters for it. And this has become really popular. There's a lot of big news services, CBS Radio, ESPN. There's some big names out there that were using these devices that use, and across the world that they use it, not just US based. This is a British company, Vortex is. So anyway, they built this firmware, they pushed it out there to their clients, and that was great. And then it was great for them because now they could use their client server connection to be able to get high quality broadcast connections with a sort of dumbed down device. I mean, the Rodecaster and all of these other audio interfaces designed for streaming services or podcasting are really dumbed down compared to what you used in the broadcast industry with a real console, or like what we used when we would podcast together, where we're using audio equipment to try to mimic the broadcast experience, where things like mix minus aren't really a piece of it. So these Rodecasters and any of these streaming devices really dumb that process down. So this custom firmware would connect to their service and allow you to have a console interface. It was great to watch on all the different forums and places where users would communicate about Rode and Rodecaster specific conversations, because every time a new firmware would come out from Rodecaster, Vortex would have to play the keep up game. They'd have to get the new firmware, decompose it, get their software working on it again and push it out. So people would be complaining all the time, like, why don't I have the new mix minus routing or virtual routing? And it'd be because, or their device would have a problem. And like, I would constantly tell people, like, this is buyer beware, because you're using a non-sanctioned device for a fairly expensive software. Like, this is the replacement for like the broadcast industry of using like an ISDN in the past. It's not as expensive as an ISDN would have been, but it's still pricey. Anyway, I think Rode finally caught on with all the support issues and probably lost revenue that they realized they could be getting. So they partnered with Vortex and they released what they call Rode CallMe. It still runs through Vortex at the low end services, but it's still client server. So basically you set this device, or you get the beta firmware for now, but it's going to be a publicly released product at some point. But what you do is you install the firmware, and now you have this ability to connect to their server and register your device to it, get an ID, and then an ID allows you to communicate back and forth. The frustrating thing about it is it's using Vortex. Vortex has, and it's basically SIP protocol for it, and it's using, I think, Opus 711 and something else codec in it, which are good codecs. But anyway, With that, you're connected to their server to do the handshaking and connection. I wish Rode would have just heard your request from day one and cut the middleman out of it.
I even contacted them directly.
Yeah.
And I was very detailed in what this hardware is capable of. Not that I needed to tell them,
Right.
but what I would want, it's just such a missed opportunity.
Yeah. So their service, let me see if I have the different, okay, actually the company is called Vortex Communications. Let's see. What about the Rodecaster? Getting started with Rodecaster. So where are their different service levels? Basically, you can do a free version that gives you a certain amount of hours every month and allows you to connect connection to connection. Because this is the old world of long distance calling, which is annoying. Or there's a pro version which gives you more hours and more channels. Like the free one gives you one channel on your device. You pay for it, you can get 2 channels, I think 3 maybe. And then you can pay even more for a pro version. The pro version is what unlocks the truth about this whole thing. Free, and which is called CallMe Lite, and then there's CallMe Pro, and then there's the more expensive, I'm going to call it Enterprise, but that's probably not the right name for it. But anyway, Lite has to use Vortex behind the scenes. Pro also uses Vortex behind the scenes. The third one opens up any SIP protocol and SIP service you want to use. Now, acknowledging the fact that this isn't locked into the vendor. It is for the dumbed down versions, but you pay, I forget what the price is for it. I want to say it's like $50 a month, but it could be more than that. But you pay for that service, and now you can pick your codec, you can connect unlimited, and you can connect it to your phone system, anything you want to do with it. So my big complaint, while I'm happy that they've done this, and I look forward to us testing it in just a few minutes, what annoys me is...
How are we going to test it?
Well, I figure we'll just connect device to device.
You and me?
Yeah, did you get the beta?
No, I didn't install that beta firmware. After you told me your Rodecaster went into a boot loop, I was like, to hell with that.
Yeah, it stopped after. Well, okay, there's another way we can test it. You can just call in on your browser with it too.
Oh.
Which is cool, like again. But the problem is, if they'd gone straight to the third tier, and they shouldn't be charging for the third tier either, I don't believe. But they could have done SIP to SIP in a point to point to point or peer to peer way. So their service could have been just a identification directory where you get an ID for your device, and then you put my ID into your device or vice versa. We get connected, and then the 2 devices communicate directly through our connections, giving us the fastest route and giving us complete control, just like we did on all of our tests of other phone services in the past with lesser hardware at the time. This thing could have done peer-to-peer SIP just fine. But so many people who come from the broadcast world or just don't understand and have read enough to be dangerous about the world of what it used to be like with SIP don't understand and are going around trying to sing the praises of this while pushing down anyone bringing up the point of view that this could be done easier. It could be done in a way that gives us, the user, complete control. And I left off, you could have done SIP peer-to-peer, but there's even better communication that gives the extra piece that Vortex does, which is the web-based browser calling. You could do that with what's called WebRTC. WebRTC is a well-defined protocol now, allows high quality video at low latency, same thing with audio, giving you control of codecs, and all you need to have is a server in the middle that is good, that is powerful enough to pick up a connection, route it to the other connection, and then it gets out of the way. It's not needed for anything after that. And the direct example I would use to compare this to is Video.Ninja, which is a streaming service that a dude set up. I can't think of his name, Sam maybe something. Guy set up who comes out of the broadcast industry that is based off of our WebRTC. and it allows high quality multi-channel audio and video that you can set up. You can connect it to a myriad of devices, and it's great, and it's free. And you could host your own instance of it if you want, but he puts one up there for free for you to work with. We played with it. We ended up going with Restream.io just because it was the simplicity of have one upload from each of us and then allow it to be simulcast. It's just quicker and easier and doesn't require any work on our part. But I am very interested in Video Ninja because it proves low power devices, even like Raspberry Pis, can do all of this stuff. And if a Raspberry Pi can do video and audio for free over WebRTC, the Rodecaster Pro 2 and Duo should crush this. And Rode should have started from day one with WebRTC giving power to its users instead of getting stuck in vendor lock-in. And it's not even true vendor lock-in because they give you that third tier acknowledging that, well, if you don't want to use Vortex, pay even more money and you can have these other devices, or you can use your own device. But 90% of people, 99% of people are going to use the free Rodecaster or CallMe Lite or CallMe Pro. And it's ridiculous. And we should complain because I don't think it's Rode's fault. I think they got stuck with the fact that Vortex was out there creating custom firmwares, and that would have gotten out of hand if let's say, whatever engineer built that custom firmware, if they were to share that or move to another company and build another custom firmware, then Rode would have been stuck in a world where people are just loading whatever firmware they want on these devices and they get less and less control over it. So I get where and why they are where they're at, but I want them to know that their user base wants a better implementation of this that's open and free and configurable for us. I'll use CallMe. Like I said, we'll test it tonight, and I'm not complaining that it's there, but there would have been a better way to go with this for the end user.
So to be sure that I understand, the lower tiers, do they use an intermediary where the audio gets routed to a third-party server, and then from there it gets shuttled off to the other participant?
Yeah, my understanding is that when you're using CallMe Lite or CallMe Pro, you are connecting peer to client. It's a client-server relationship. So the browser one, so Vortex's browser call-in, which is also now branded for Rode, that is probably WebRTC. That's the irony of it, is that I haven't tried it yet, so I can't say this for sure, but I almost guarantee you for the browser interface, they're using WebRTC, but then they're translating it into their system so they have control over it. And I get it from their point of view. Vortex wants to sell a service. They've been in the industry of selling broadcast connections to people for years. And if they were to just go to open protocols for this, they would lose their business really quickly when people realize you don't need to have an entire IT staff to be able to connect two devices to each other reliably over the public internet, that their business would drop really quickly. And I also believe, and I'm really interested in hearing your point of view on this, I think there's also a little bit of CYA that's involved in the corporate side of it. I want to pay, even though I could do something myself easily and save my company money, if there's ever any kind of problem with it, you're coming back to me because I'm the one who said, hey, here's this free thing I'll set up. Where if you use a service like Vortex, or you pay ISP for an ISDN line to be connecting, that gives you some CYA to say they're the ones who screwed up the connection when Joe Schmo's car service isn't able to call in for their live remote car sale, and they lose a 30-second spot that they're supposed to get. That gives you some cover to say, well, it was the vendor that screwed up, not me. So I'm guessing that
what they could, I mean, if their primary fear there was getting saddled with handling support for this new feature for free, simply because the users of the Rodecaster device expect that since they purchased the device, all they had to do was set up a separate terms of service for the new protocol, the SIP protocol client, whatever you want to describe it as. This feature, all they had to do is set up a separate terms of service that says, if you want support in the course of using this feature, there's a knowledge base you can go read, which we've put together. But if you need something beyond that, you pay us $20 and we'll help you fix your problem, whatever that happens to be. But instead, I think you're right. They just decided they would rather not be saddled with that responsibility. So they just pushed it off onto another company to say, here, you handle this. And we can continue doing firmware updates that just address nothing other than let's enable users to route audio from USB 2 to their washing machine.
Yeah.
They can work on stuff like that
Mhm.
and let somebody else be saddled with the responsibility of making the remote connectivity feature work. I would never need their support, but if I were somebody who potentially would need their support, I would think it would be worth paying them $20
Oh
to
yeah.
get some help with whatever it is you're having a problem with, as long as, like, as soon as the user activates the feature. I mean, you could bake it into the firmware that before you can even use the feature, there's a thing that pops up and you have to accept the terms
Right.
where you're agreeing that in the event I have problems, I got to pay $20 for them to help me with it. Otherwise, all I have at my disposal for help is this knowledge base website, which probably would have everything you could conceivably need anyway. But something, what you described this last night when we were texting about this, but I didn't quite get what you were saying at the time. Maybe I was just preoccupied with other things at the same time we were talking, but I didn't realize fully the scope of what you were describing here, where if you pay the most money, you bypass any value that anyone is actually adding to this for
Right.
you.
Yes.
like you pay more to get less, which less is what you want to begin with. You
Mhm.
want less. And it's almost like I don't know, it's like having an operating system that's bogged down with a bunch of little doodads and background effects and just cruft that you don't need or want. And in order to get rid of it, you pay more money, and that
Oh.
gets rid of it and gets you to the baseline where you wanted to be to begin with, which is the baseline that requires less input and less effort on the
Mhm.
part of the company that is in question. It's this is depressing, really.
It is.
Honestly.
And the thing is that, like, I'm excited that there's movement, right? But I'm so annoyed at what the movement is. And the fact that people aren't getting it, like, it's people, when I say people in the Rodecaster world, because you've got,
Oh
well,
God.
let me finish with, like, a thought I had with what you just said. So, like, it's like Windows 10 and Windows, oh gosh, Windows 8, I think, is the first one that this happened on. If you remember, they started to just bloat that with, you get Candy Crush added to it, all this ridiculous.
Oh, no, I liked that feature. I would
Okay,
rather you
look,
not talk badly about that. Thank you.
well, for you, it was, requested as baked in. It was like the U2 on Apple devices.
I use Candy Crush OS.
There you go. Someday you will. Don't worry. But like so you have Windows Home Edition. Then you have Windows Pro. Both of them have bloatware in it. And then the EU went after them with massive regulations. And Windows 8 and Windows 10 and now probably 11 EU edition is the same Windows without all the bloat. But you got to jump through hoops to get the non-bloat version because they don't want people in the US and the rest of the world to realize they can develop an operating system without all the bloat. So they try to obfuscate the fact that this thing even exists, that there's a version of Windows that by regulation in the EU requires them not to include all this extra stuff. It's the same idea that Rode is pretty confident that people aren't going to pay the extra money, like the average user, because they don't know or understand what they're getting for it. So why would you pay extra money to get, a reduced quality service that you have to take on responsibility for? And I'm sure other vendors will come out too to work with it. I can think of a couple off the top of my head that are in the same space as Vortex. Oh man, I'm using my phone as my camera, and it just popped up and said I have 10% battery remaining. So my camera will die at some point soon.
Yeah,
But
that'll be fine. We'll deal with it.
yeah,
You
but
alluded to some of the user reaction to
mhm,
this, and you were in the Rodecaster group discussing this,
yep.
and uh, there's like you are probably the most gifted person I know. You are the most gifted person I know in terms of technological acumen, just the wide scope of your knowledge. I would defer to you on, I would say, probably anything of a technical nature, unless it's something that's just very niche that I
Yeah,
know a
look,
lot about, maybe audio equipment or something like that. But
and
anything
I'm
beyond
going to be
that,
honest. If I don't know, I'm not going to
well,
go
that's
out on
actually
my
one of my
skis.
complaints, Curtis. You lie all the time to me. But
Yeah, that's
other
true.
than that, things are going great. Um, but like knowing you as I have known you for what, 16
2009,
years?
right? 2008, 2009, somewhere around there.
Yes. And watching the responses of some of these Neanderthals to you and the concerns you were expressing and the observations you were making, knowing you in the context of watching some of these idiotic responses to you, I was just shaking my head like, the forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do. They have no idea who they're speaking to. They have no idea that you could probably have their home carpet bombed by just simply pressing the correct keys on a keyboard
Well,
somewhere.
one keyboard shortcut, right? Well, what annoys me, and I get that they don't know this too, but I've been talking to people in the industry that have been working with this Vortex firmware, custom firmware for a while, through the same groups where they come up and have problems and then help them understand. Because, like, again, I'll use an example of a guy who works for CBS Radio who has a Rodecaster 2 and was using Vortex because the company provided it. They ship out to his location a Rodecaster Pro 2 that's already configured with the firmware. And then when he has issues, he can't get support because it's a custom firmware. And so he would ask for help. And that's what even hit me to this existing is as I'm walking through it with him and saying, okay, well, you have screens I don't have. And I finally make all the connections, go find the product page. I'm like, yeah, okay, this was sent to you. You can't do the firmware update to get the feature you wanted because you'll lose Vortex. You have to wait until Vortex updates their firmware to include this feature. Or they have to get the firmware, apply their code to it, push it down to you. But that really means sending it to your corporate office, you sending back your Rodecaster, someone from their IT department updating it, or they do a spare in the air flip, send to them. But then the guy makes it clear. He's like, there's hundreds of people out there that work for CBS Radio that have these devices, and none of them know anything about like how it works. They just get on the radio and do local broadcasts or are part of nationally syndicated radio shows. And there's all kinds of people using this in the industry that are in the for-profit radio industry, and it just annoyed me first off because again, like that makes it that's my first entry to realize this exists. So okay, there's a way that this could work exactly how we want, that this device can handle the kind of connection. It was obvious that it was client to server because they need lots of control and to sell their service. So I get excited when I see this CallMe thing coming out. So I go watch it, read the fine print, or watch the fine print in their video, and immediately understand what it is. So then people start to tout the service within the Rodecaster community. Like, this is the greatest thing ever. People who do one and two host mom and pop podcasts that already have ways to connect each other through Clean Feed, something like Restream that we're using. There's a ton of services they could use to connect with each other. They're going out as if they're experts in what Vortex is selling. And then when somebody tries to push back to say, why is Rode trying to charge me for something that does a bunch of things I don't need when I just want the two devices to connect? And I don't want to have to pay any extra because the hardware is already fast enough to do it. when you push back on it, you get talking points. Someone who doesn't even understand what they're selling. And this is such a rampant thing in technology, so it's annoying anywhere that it happens. But like, realize what's happening at minimum. Understand that yes, a vendor pushed Rode to do something that they weren't ready to do, because if they would have done it, I like Rode as a company. I'm using a Rode wireless mic. I use a Rodecaster. I have a bunch of Rode equipment. So I don't dislike Rode at all. But they do annoy me because they're very similar to like an Apple, to where when a service or a product becomes boring to them, and Google, they just switch to a new version. They just build a new thing and they kind of leave the old one behind. But anyway, with that complaint,
which would be utterly inexcusable with the Rodecaster Pro 2, because it's
Right.
so powerful.
Yeah,
I mean, there's literally, I can't see anything they would bring to the table from a hardware standpoint relative to this that would be
And
an
so far-
improvement, that a case could be made to explain why I need to buy it.
And I've owned every version of the Rodecaster that's come out now. I had the first Rodecaster for a little bit. I had the Rodecaster 2. I traded my Rodecaster 2 to downgrade to the Rodecaster Duo. So like, yeah, I'm all in on the platform that they built for it. But I believe if they were going to put the resources into it, they would have gone an open-ended route. That would just have been easier. It would have been, here's the functionality. We've given it to you. Go do stuff with it. That would have made a lot more sense. That's how most of our modern tech stacks are going, where it's available, it's a microservice. If you use it, cool, it's on you. And I get that the CBS radios and the ESPN radio, Fox Sports radio, whoever else out there that I don't know, I mean, because I do have a limited amount of knowledge of the broadcast radio industry. It's, I would defer to you on ins and outs of it. But I'm pretty confident those places don't want to deal with what I would call risk. A technically savvy person knows the risk isn't that high, but for somebody who's putting what I assume is millions of dollars into the infrastructure to support multiple nationally syndicated radio shows and local radio shows, they don't want to deal with anything in the risk category. So handing that off to a third-party service is a CYA move. It is my assumption. Now, I don't have any proof or understanding that that's actually it, but years of being around the corporate world, I can see where that's a potential scenario. So I believe Vortex put Rode in a tough situation where they had to release something that doesn't match the standard that they would have done in any other scenario, because Rode most likely was getting inundated with corporate customers having problems. Those customers were actually Vortex customers, and they had to find some way to split the difference on it and take some risk off of Rode and put it back over to Vortex, but make it maintainable too. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my assumption and the lack of information is wrong, but I'm going with it until I hear a different version of that story, because it fits what I've watched happen so far. Like I can follow my Zapruder film of the experience for it, and I'm down to 5% now. That's going quick. But yeah, I can follow a trail there that seems to make sense to me. And I don't feel like it's conspiracy. It's just, why would you go this direction if you were Rode? And so to bring it back to like the people who are touting this as something that this is the end game great thing. No, Rode even said in their third choice that you don't have the vendor lock-in. And that's all I really care about. Is we've both talked for many years now about how Apple's walled garden approach is the most annoying thing that Apple does. They make good hardware, they make decent operating systems and applications, but their walled garden and that approach to it and locked in services is the main reason why I can understand someone not wanting to use an Apple device. So every time it bugs me.
Some of the comments here. Okay, so someone says, there's this Randall Gene Black in this Facebook group, and he says, by the way, is this video posted? Is this live stream posted in the Rodecaster group?
like this right here?
Yeah,
Oh,
like
no.
okay.
No.
Well, maybe
I
we can post the video
yeah,
after the fact. I didn't know if people there might be able to watch it live.
that
But
would have
anyway,
been,
there's this Randall Gene Black, and he says, "Get started with CallMe," and he's got a little explanation here as to how you use the feature. And the very first comment, someone says, "Too bad they'll charge." Well, it actually says, he doesn't say it with that tone.
yeah,
He just
yeah.
says, "Too bad they'll charge." And then Randall Gene Black comes in. And why shouldn't they? It costs money to run the server infrastructure to make this work. And
Yeah,
then,
that last part was important. The hair flip.
and then, and then Randall Gene Black says, "Oh no, this is Joe again, Joe Mena." He says, "Because there's," and he spells, first of all, I mean,
Look, we can't pick the people we defend. We just
okay,
defend the people
look,
we defend.
I'm not going to get mired in the grammar and the spelling here. Joe Mena says, "Because there are some people out there who can't afford it and some can." And then Randall Gene Black says, "Then maybe podcasting is what they should be doing if they can't afford it. The pricing on this isn't that bad. The middle tier is only $9.99 a month. Give up a pack of cigs, you filthy smoker, or a latte, you fat pig who just does nothing but suck down diabetic drinks all day. Do that a few times a month and it'll be paid for. Your logic is simply out of touch with the realities of the product or the service." And then Randall Gene Black comes in and again and says, "And some people out there can't afford a Rodecaster at all. Should we just give them one to be fair?"
Is that really in there?
Yeah.
I missed that. See, they're like, I'll go ahead and preface this that there was multiple threads of conversation that seem to be gone now, but that's fine.
I can tell that this thread has been gutted. And Joe says, "Sure, why not? Give it as a giveaway." And then
That's pragmatism.
And then Randall just comes back with ignorance at its finest. Your argument gets defeated, and you come back with a not very witty retort. Great job. Crawl back into mom's basement where you can't afford a $9.99 a month fee to call someone with your Rodecaster that daddy paid for.
Put a pin in
This
that, too.
son of a bitch. Randall Gene Black. I hate this type of interaction on the internet.
You should go to the
just
wise.
this snarky, just sort of, I'm gonna let you. And okay, so here comes Curtis. Unfortunately, the ignorance in this instance is vendor lock-in. Rode even acknowledges it through their higher paid tier where you can start to unlock SIP and third-party codecs. This doesn't need a lot of fancy infrastructure to do a point-to-point connection and work with minimal back-end like the amazing Video.Ninja product proves daily, and with low latency video even. I understand Rode's frustration that Vortex threw out a custom firmware and they needed to get it under control, but I would have rather had... But I would have rather they'd started with, and still hope they do, introduce a free P2P option for those that don't need the SLA and corporate blame safety net that comes from a centralized vendor for something the public network stack can already handle. And then Randall comes back. This is where I was really just face-palming last night. Randall comes back with, "There's a free version for 10 hours of Rodecaster to Rodecaster calling per month. Not sure where the issue lies in your complaint when there's literally a free version." And so I got so pissed off. I was so incensed reading Randall Gene Black's retorts to you. Again, in the context of having known you for 16 years and knowing intellectually what you're capable of and knowing what information you possess, knowing your talents, knowing your abilities, knowing just you are not somebody to be toyed with when it comes to technology at all or argued
Well,
with.
you can tell this guy got me because I normally wouldn't engage in.
So I
Unless
just
it's
got
the
so
wise.
I just got so pissed off by this guy. I started like I thought to myself, okay, here he is gatekeeping inside the Rodecaster Pro 2 group on
That's it.
Facebook. Obviously, this is something that he passes a lot of time doing, and this is important to him. So he must be up to something. Why does he have this Rodecaster to begin with? He must be doing something out there. So I decided to do a little looking around. It was pretty easy to find his podcast.
Shooting It Straight, episode number 1.
Shooting It Straight, episode number 1. This is apparently a new podcast that Randall's put together, and I think that when you hear the intro to this podcast, you're going to be locked in.
July 1st, 2025.
Bam, son! This is Shoot It Straight, the podcast where life lessons don't come sugar-coated and excuses get benched.
I'm Randy Black, podcast guy, professional question asker, and apparently the only one here who doesn't yell "Bam, son" in public.
I think these parody songs you do have gotten taken to a new level now.
I shouldn't do that emphysema laugh. It really, I just about made myself pass out there right away.
That would have been great right then.
That would have been fantastic broadcasting. So the name of this show, Shooting It Straight, because the big problem I've had with lots of podcasts that I listen to is as I'm making my way through the presentation, I feel like things are not being shot straightly to me.
You know, I agree.
So these people are going to shoot it straight, and this is the first go-around of shooting things straight to you.
Shooting It Straight, episode number 1, July 1st, 2025.
Bam, son! This is Shoot It Straight, the podcast where life lessons don't come sugar-coated and excuses get benched.
I'm Randy Black, podcast guy, professional question asker, and apparently the only one here who doesn't yell "Bam, son" in public.
Well, we're working on that, Randy. I'm Jim Clayton, coach, mentor, motivator, and the guy who still thinks a whistle may be the best motivator.
This guy's voice reminds me of a coach that I had in junior high school. He just said he's a coach, but I have this particular memory of, like, dude, track and field, that was like never something that I ever had any interest in doing. I never had any ability to do it. And like, I have this particular memory of, they set up the you got the track and they set up these things for you to jump over. What are they called? Hurdles? Yeah, hurdles.
I was an okay short distance runner, not good, just okay, but hurdles were my enemy. Like I never did track and field. I'm just talking like probably like you're saying in school and gym class you had to do the track and field stuff.
You know, when I think back on it, like the notion of setting up hurdles and expecting anybody to be able to jump over that shit, that's actually kind of a ridiculous notion.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it
how many
seems
kids
to
got
me
hurt doing that?
That seems like you would have to be a professional athlete to jump over those things properly with any sort of demonstration of acumen whatsoever. That is not something you just set up on a track and take some random fat kid and get him running and hope for the best. On it. Yeah, like, you get. Well, the coach, his name was Coach Dement, and I remember Coach Dement. I think every one of these hurdles I just knocked straight over onto the track. Just every one of them. It was basically like I may as well have been running through the tape at the end of a run with my arms outstretched, just busting the tape open. That's how I was running through these things pretty much. And I have this memory of Coach Dement coming up to me after I ran through and just going, "Hey, that's it. You did a good job. I'm going to tell you right now, you did all right. Big guy like you, I don't know what anyone else could ask of a guy like you."
Guess where life lessons don't come sugar-coated and excuses get benched.
I'm Randy Black.
Did he say benched or did he say something else?
I thought he said pinched or benched or pitched, like they're going to pitch.
Bitched. I hear bitched. That's what I want to hear. Is that pareidolia?
I think throughout the course of all of this, we should only hear what we want to hear.
Guess what? Life lessons don't come sugar-coated and excuses get benched.
Listen, they're going to give it to you straight. They're shooting it straight here. So if you think you're going to get a bunch of fluff on this podcast, you've come to the wrong place. You may as well just throw your iPod Nano into the river.
You do that too well.
I'm Randy Black, podcast guy.
By the way, Randy Black here. This is the guy who basically let Curtis have it and let Curtis
to the
know.
woodshed, right?
Yep, he took you straight. He was shooting it straight to you.
Wasn't he? I mean, like, how ironic is it that like within the same day that him and I are going back and forth, he's out there producing Shooting It Straight.
Was this the same day?
I mean, it had to be close to it. This
he
episode got
sounds-
released. Didn't he say July 1st?
Yeah, July 1st.
Which he did that before. That's too polished of a podcast for
I
it.
think they focus group. Well,
Yeah.
if I actually play this podcast, I think the word polished may be a relative term, but they probably did like record it and then go back and post and fix every little thing. I'm sure they did.
Professional question asker, and apparently the only one here who doesn't yell "Bam, son" in public.
I don't believe that.
What?
I don't think he's shooting it straight right there. I think he does.
I think you may have caught on to some deception.
Working on that, Randy.
Maybe.
I'm Jim Clayton, coach, mentor, motivator, and the guy.
You did a good job, boy.
Yeah.
Running into them things like he's running through ticker tape, just plowing right over them like a fat load of shit that you are. You did what you could, and I want you to know I'm proud. No one could have done better in your physical condition.
Guy who still thinks a whistle may
It's
be
almost
the
like a
best
King of the Hill thing, isn't it? Like that could be a character from it.
It sounds like a caricature of something. It's like the no-nonsense... I don't know what this guy looks like, but I picture him as having a beard that's kept really short and gray hair with a receding hairline that also is kept really short. And I think he wears, when he's teaching the health class that he teaches, he's got those glasses that are just sitting on the edge of his nose, and it's got a little thing that goes around. And like let me grab my daughter's glasses here. He's got, they just kind of sit down on the on the tip of his nose, and when a student comes up and asks him, "Hey, do you know where I can get any strawberry kush?" he looks up and says, "Now, son, why would you ask me a question like that? Why would you want to jeopardize your future with some strawberry kush? I don't know anyone who would want to do that. I mean, you're never going to get into a local community college and get that mid-range management position you're aiming for. I mean, it ain't gonna happen on the kush."
motivational tool known to man.
Each week, we're taking what Jim's learned from the court, the
This is gonna be weekly.
drills, the discipline, the drive, and
How
translating
many
it
weeks
into
do you think they can go with Jim's knowledge there? Bam!
Bam! It's I think Jim probably. I picture him as being one of these guys that throws a bunch of, like, every weekend he has a big cooker in his backyard where he throws a bunch of live crawdads into boiling water and they just die. And he throws and he has like these pieces of corn on the cob, but they're not like full cob. The cob's cut into like 3 sections, so you don't really get a full corn on the cob, because why would you want a full corn on the cob? You want these little bitch ass sections, and he tosses them in there, and there's probably some Uncle Junior spice. I use this for everything, particularly when I'm killing crawdads, live crawdads in my backyard, calling company over, getting the neighbors involved, because I'm a good neighbor, and I don't ever do this without calling everyone up, letting them know it's going to happen. But I ask them to turn away when I kill the crawdads. You know, that is actually a...
You're so close.
That is such a disgusting thing. Like, I watched a video of someone cooking crawdads like that, and apparently you put them in a big bucket of, and I'm sure there are people out there that are like, listen to this abject pussy. That is some of the best food you could possibly, like, there are people out there who just live and die by this, I'm sure, and more power to you, fine. But I saw somebody cooking this, and you take all these crawdads, you put them in a giant tank of just water, just, room temperature or whatever, cold water, and they basically poop while they're in there. I mean, there's just that, like, just copious amounts of poop, and you leave them in there for a while, and the water just turns brown, and it's a viscous brown. And like, eventually you can't even see that there are crawdads in there. It's so contaminated with just poop. And then you pour the water out and you put more water in, and you keep doing this cycle until these things, these basically bugs, I consider like crawdads and lobster and things of that nature. To me, that's like eating a bug. I could never eat that. I would take a shotgun blast to the face before I would eat like a lobster tail.
We
This
know
is
who
a
you're
little
talking
something.
to. I'm with you on that one.
This is like I'm giving a little window into my worldview here that maybe I've never shared before, but I do not eat anything that lived in water. I don't eat fish. I don't eat crawdads. I don't eat lobster. I'm definitely not going to be eating any octopus tentacles. And I certainly won't be doing any of those, what are those videos? Mukbang videos where you sit in front of a camera and you just shove food into your face with the heel of your hand, just
Isn't that what Jason
ramming
Callan
it.
does?
And I don't know who. No, I don't think you would call him a mukbang. Jason Callan. I don't think you would call him a mukbang presenter. I mean, these people will sit down with a fish bowl full of macaroni and cheese and just. It'll always be some fat girl with a septum ring. She's like, I normally don't use this bowl because it's too big. I'm just doing it for this video. And then they'll insert the little dog side-eye, picture every time she says something stupid like that. This spoon's actually too big for my mouth. I don't normally use the spoon or this bowl. And if I weren't doing this video right now, I would not be eating this much macaroni and cheese in front of you. That's for sure. I would never do that. And
I have literally never watched a video like that before.
Oh, again, they're out there. They pop up on your TikTok feed, but usually it's to make fun of these people. Yeah. It's not like the actual first person presentation of the video. It's someone else inserting that dog side eye as these people say this stuff. But anyway, I could never eat that. I could never eat crawdads like that.
Crawdads are the things that like come out of the ground in like a little tunnel, right? A little hole that they.
Crayfish.
Yeah,
I guess a crayfish is a crawdad. It's
it is. Yeah,
and a lot of people don't realize that lobster used to be a peasant food. It was fed to prisoners. It was fed to the poor.
Do we really know what? Do we really know what? Billionaires, and because I think a millionaire really is close to peasant class now too, but what a billionaire eats, like TV has made us think that lobster is like high class and Red Lobster. That doesn't
I think
mean
this
it
was a
is.
campaign that began in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
Just as what was it, De Beers fooled you into believing that when you ask a woman to marry you, you're supposed to spend $10,000 on an engagement ring. You know what? Don't be an idiot and take that money and put it on a down payment on a house to start your lives together. Buy this piece of metal and rock. Put it on your
gold-plated rock or metal.
Yeah, that actually didn't exist as a thing until like the 1920s. I mean, the concept of an expensive engagement ring did not exist. And the idea of lobster being a delicacy or something that's expensive and highly sought after is an entirely made up concept. It is I guess you could call it a construct that was foisted on people. People were fraudulently bamboozled into believing this also in the early 1900s. What were you going to say?
Bam! We're shooting it straight.
Bam! That's shooting it straight. You want a real podcast that's going to shoot it straight to you? You go to the spec sheet. I know I'm doing crawdads. I know I'm talking to you about how I used to run the cafeteria at the school and giving you all the background about that. I worked in Cotton County. I worked in Kester County. I got tired of that. Then I went back to Cotton County. Then I went to Johnson County because that was not working out for me. I mean, that is literally the podcast, by the way. I actually went through about 30 minutes of this podcast last night, not just like listening to it straight through, but just sort of skipping through it. And I swear on my children, at one point I heard Jim say, as I was just like, skip, in between one of those skips, I heard him say, and I used to run the cafeteria. And
real world success.
That's right. This ain't just about basketball. It's about showing up when life presses full court. It's about pushing through.
Listen, as I'm doing this show, everything I say to you as the listener is going to be presented to you as a sports analogy.
I'm from Indiana, the sports capital of the world. And all of the sports analogies, and specifically the basketball one that just happened with the full court press, that's too much. That's a bridge too
bringing
far.
You're having a little bit of a PTSD moment right now, aren't you?
Well, it's just
you've heard people in your life speak this way.
No, it's not that. It's the annoyance of I grew up with people who live and breathe basketball, and I'm from an area of the state where like this doesn't exist anymore, but our high school basketball system was set up to where you could be a small school and be the champions, where most school system or most states have class basketball where big schools play big schools, little schools play little schools. Have you ever heard of the movie Hoosiers with
No.
Gene Hackman?
No. Well,
Okay.
I think I have actually.
Yeah. So it was a pretty big movie back
You know what?
in-
Yes,
yeah.
yes, I have.
Yeah, and he was great in it, but that took place like my high school was a competitor to that high school.
That's
so
an
like
80s movie, isn't it?
it is, yeah, but it's from like the late 50s, 60s. Anyway, the only reason I'm bringing it up is like I'm from the area that movie comes from, and that was our high school basketball back then, and everyone lived and breathed these high school kids playing winner take all basketball up to the point of winning a tournament of small schools could beat big schools. And the system isn't like that anymore, but that area still lives by that. They're way too obsessed with their analogy of basketball to life. And the weird thing is that, every year another senior class graduates and becomes adults, which means it's just more and more people living vicariously through the high schoolers that are playing in a different system now.
Yep.
So I'm annoyed by the oversaturation of basketball analogies, and that guy's analogy is just ugh.
I used to be a news director at a station in a small town where it was in a small town, but it had a big signal. So I guess you could say with a big signal in a small town, you kind of rope in a whole bunch of small towns, and then you've got something that might constitute a listening audience. But anyway, that's the way it was there. Like these people actually wanted me to I don't even like sports, period. I have no idea who played in the last Super Bowl, let alone who won the Super Bowl. I don't even know when the World Series happens. Is that in December?
It's in October, isn't it?
I don't know. See,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I am so oblivious to and ignorant of professional sports that I couldn't give a crap. Yet these people expected me to get into high school sports and be able to talk about it during the morning show. And I just let it, I put my foot down. I said, look, when you hired me, this was not discussed with me. I have made it clear from the beginning, I am not a guy to come to if you want sports commentary. I will not be going to any games and doing any play-by-play. Well, you know what? I take that back. I'll go do some play-by-play, but let me tell you something. It's going to be so outside the box. It is going to be so unlike anything anyone has heard in high school radio broadcast play-by-play that I'm not sure if it's going to be a colossal failure or if it's going to go down as something that redefines the medium and makes me an international superstar. One of those two things would happen. But beyond that, these people are obsessed with what's going on in high school sports. And I think it's unhealthy. I think there's some sort of an unhealthy obsession taking place there. There's the first station that I ever worked at. There was this guy who would call about once a week, and I'd answer the station. I'd answer the phone with the station's calls. Hey, this is Michael. How can I help you? And he'd be like, hey, did you see what Zach Casterson did for Trigg County the other night? I'm like, who? What county? What
Who got killed? Yeah.
Well, I was just how you think Jackson County's going to do this year? I was watching the game. I was listening to the game the other night you guys played. I was kind of wondering, I don't know if Johnson County's going to do it because Adam White, his arms have been messed up this season. So I don't know. What do you think is going to happen? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I think probably they're going to win or they're going to lose. And I'm thinking whoever throws the ball it's just all about getting the ball into the basket. If they can get the ball into the basket the way they need to, they're going to win. It's really that simple. Everyone keeps overcomplicating all of this and talking about the specifics of this guy and that guy, his arm, that guy's arm. Screw all of that. I think those are excuses people are making. They need to get the ball into the basket. And he was like, "Yep, I know. I just like this guy."
Yeah, because he wanted you to listen to him, not
Yeah,
him.
he was probably sitting on a porch somewhere with horse flies just mashing themselves on the screens trying to get in at him with a shotgun held to the back of his head unless I answered the phone that day. It just really odd people. I don't understand the high school sports obsession. Let's get obsessed watching a bunch of really young people who are not very good yet at this sport.
Well, I got my start in radio doing color commentary for baseball in high school because I played baseball and got injured and then moved to becoming the announcer. So I was the on-field announcer for it, saying up to bat, number 22, so-and-so, and on deck, that was me. And then I ended up filling in as a radio color commentator during sectionals and regionals. And my inability to keep from going to tangents made me not good for that. And I actually had some people complain because like people that I knew, because like I played and these people were my friends even on the competing schools. So I would be talking about like a player, Smith, on second base. Smith just got their driver's license last month and their parents got him a new Nissan whatever and they wrecked it in the first two trips they took on it. That was really unfortunate. Luckily, they're okay and they're going to be fine. Look at that. Hit to center field, third base, scoring runner on first now, or tying run on first. The parents didn't like that. Parents didn't like that I was telling these little stories about the kids, and I didn't get it. It took me a little bit to figure out. They just want me to shut up and say, the stats that I had, that Smith, has gone 2 for 3 and he prefers to go for a fastball in the inside.
You remember a few years ago when I was voice tracking overnights on that FM music station, KYMO, and it was like at the top of the hour, my voice tracks would be like 7 or 8 minutes long, and I'd be talking about stuff like, look, Bitcoin is a far more legitimate means of generating currency because it actually requires the consumption of energy in order to produce. So unlike our current financial system, which has paper money that's backed by nothing, this is actually backed by the consumption of resources. It's backed by the consumption of power. It has a tangible value backing it. That can't be said about any other currency in existence right now. Oh, here's Badfinger, Baby Blue. It's like, at one point, someone, my friend Tom came to me and he's like, I got a call from these people at this factory and they said that they used to listen to our station overnight. Now they don't even listen anymore because you talk too much. And I said, well, that's really a shame. I hate to hear that. And then I started as a result of that, it just annoyed me. And I knew my time was probably limited doing that anyway. So I started bumping it up. I got pretty consistently got these little interludes up to about 8 or 9 minutes. And then I do another one at the bottom of the hour. I mean, it was basically, I was doing a talk show, but it's kind of analogous to what you're describing, where what you're doing on the microphone is out of context for the situation you're in. It's just not the best fit, but anyway.
And that's why I'm no longer a sports commentator, but I did host a football podcast, which was fun. The thing about sports is it's just like watching a soap opera. Every week there's something new and I don't know, the bombastic to talk about that really has no meaning in the big picture, but in the small scale, it feels like the most important thing. I liked that about it. There was a point when tech was like that for us, and then tech became phones, and phones became consolidated to just a few big players, and the excitement ran out for it. And AI has its own problems with it because that's like the thing of the day now, but it's just not the same. So
something?
Go ahead.
As I've been listening to you here, I don't really feel like you're shooting it straight with me, and I need another dose.
It's about showing up when life presses full court. It's about pushing through when the clock's ticking down.
If you're looking for fluff, well, you might just want to ride the bench.
Okay, now look. If you subscribed to this podcast because you said to yourself, "I'm looking for some fluff. This looks particularly fluff riddled. I believe I'll hit my subscribe button." You just may have clicked on the wrong button. I'm sorry to tell you.
It's about pushing through when the clock's ticking down.
If you're looking for fluff, well, you might just want to ride the bench.
We're here to help you believe.
You know, that was really clever the way he worked another sports reference in. I like that.
What, fluffer?
No, he said something about like going to the bench or riding the.
Right,
You might want to ride the bench.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine someone like straddling the bench and just like having a leg on each side of the bench and just grinding on the bench. I'm riding this bench. Yeah.
Well, to go back really quick too.
I was looking for fluff, but I'm doing this instead.
I'm doing this. This is me tonight. The thing about high school sports, like I've had 2 kids now who've gone through the entire school system and moved on to the collegiate level. And what bugs me is like for all these parents and like the grandparents and everyone who gets wrapped up into their child's experience as potentially a good or gifted athlete, I understand in the run of that, it like becoming the gravity of that, you can't help but be taken in by it, and you become that person who calls in to Michael in the morning and says, what do you think about Johnson County? Are they going to be able to pull it off? Their record's been rough, but whatever. Like I get that when you have family and you have a direct connection to it.
This guy had nobody.
Well,
obviously.
Exactly. He's the problem, because once your kids graduate, like such a small percentage of them go on to play college, and then even smaller percentage go on to play professional. Just enjoy your ride, milk it for everything it is during it, but when it's done, let it be done. Because
I'd be like, if I were doing the calls on these games, I'd like, here comes number 17, Brock Latham, a future insurance adjuster. He's dribbling down court, headed toward the basket. Oh, he just got checked by Andy Jacobs, a future pressure line tester, and he's headed the other direction. I mean, it's just like, I don't understand. I don't understand the investment in it, I guess, because what you just said is exactly right. These people are not going on to be pros.
If you're looking for fluff, well, you might just want to ride the bench.
We're here to help you believe bigger, achieve louder, and motivate stronger. So buckle up and whatever.
Look, he's going to motivate you.
Hold on a second. So this man is motivating people post coaching career.
Oh, I thought you were going to say post 9/11. I'm sorry. Carry on.
Different podcast. Let's talk about what is it? TC7.
WTC7.
Yeah, sorry, I left off the W. Okay,
you just called it Trade Center 7. I was like, hey, Curtis knows his stuff.
Hey,
he doesn't waste
tells
time with extra words, okay?
Hey,
he's shooting it straight.
Exactly. You don't need to know who cares about world at that moment. You got some thermite in your steel beams, and come talk to me. But anyway, this guy with his motivation, it is exactly what I said earlier. Like, what are you going to tell me in my adult life as a pressure? What was it you said? A pressure line?
I'm a 45-year-old man with children, and I've been beaten down enough by life that I don't
never
think
played
that
sports.
And I've never played sports, so I can't relate to any of these sports references. I don't think this guy has any chance of clawing through all of that in order to motivate me in some way that I previously couldn't be.
I love how that connection, that the niche of it, or niche, however you want to say it. I get made fun of for the way I say it, but like most people didn't play high school sports, so. Who's looking for this podcast?
I don't know. I mean, who says to themselves, look, I am feeling so utterly unmotivated right now, and the only solution is a podcast called Shooting It Straight. I feel like what kind
Is
of
this a skeet shooter podcast? This is about shooting my shotgun, or not my shotgun, my rifle.
what kind of pitch is that? Like, here's why you're going to listen to this show. We're going to motivate you. And I think you're gonna. I'm not gonna play a whole lot more of this, but I will do the quick skip through and give you some examples of the motivation.
Whatever you do, keep shooting it straight. Bam, son.
Bam!
This is episode number 1.
Put that
of
crawdad
Shooting
in
It
there. Let
Straight.
him squeal.
I'm Randy Black, joined by my co-host.
Jim Clayton.
Wait, is this coming back from an ad read, or were there any ad reads in it?
This is after their intro has played.
Okay. I thought so. You went back.
Well, no, I didn't. This is literally their intro just finished 1 minute and 9 seconds into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're
Jim
that far
Clayton.
into it. I feel like
And
we're at least 3 hours into this.
And Randall, the normal, like somewhat normal voiced person here, he's the one that was getting all snarky with you and saying that if people don't like it, they can just piss off. Basically, if you can't afford $9.99 a month, you're a loser. Okay, if you could just do one less coffee per month and stop being such a fat tub, maybe you'd have some sort of a hope of being able to remotely connect with other Rodecaster users in order to do a broadcast with them. But because you're too cheap and you waste your money and you think everything ought to be given to you in life for free, you're never going to be able to do that. And that's emblematic of the greater scope of your life. That's an example of what's wrong with you. You're never going to have what other people have if you don't have anything within you that can make you pay this $9.99 a month.
Great name to hear if you know anything about basketball. And he's finally doing it. He's finally getting a podcast going. So we're going to take some time here on our debut episode to kind of go through and outline why it is we're doing this show.
I always recommend to not be sucking on a
I put
lodging.
together a PowerPoint presentation before the broadcast today to let the audience know why we're doing a broadcast. Like, can you imagine like starting a broadcast and feeling like it's incumbent upon you before you even get into your broadcast to explain why you're doing a broadcast? Just do the broadcast.
Yeah.
Just do it.
What is the reasoning for it? But before we do that, anybody who might
They're not even ready to do that yet.
No.
Before they even get into why, you better buckle up and sit down for this.
be new, I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who know Jim, but don't know me. There might be some people listening that know me, but don't know Jim.
Now listen, I know this is going to shock you, Curtis. There might be some people out there that don't know Randall. And
I know him.
now look, I know I'm sticking my neck out. I'm going out on a limb here, but there might be some people who don't know Jim. And I got a hold of the people at Rasmussen the other day. I said, "Hey, you guys, you accurately called the last couple of elections. Y'all are pretty good at what you do, and I want to know how many people out there are aware of Randall versus how many people are not aware of Randall. And then if we could follow that up with another, but I'll pay you to do this. I ain't asking you to do nothing for free. I mean, I will pay. I'm not a bum. I'll pay my $9.99 a month. Then we're going to follow that up with another one. You're going to find out who knows Jim, and then you're going to find out who doesn't know Jim. You're going
It's like a Venn diagram here.
You're going to compile all this information. I want it presentable in a PDF file. You know what that is? It's a file format created by Adobe in 1994, and it's what I do. All my communication. All my digital communication takes place in the form of a PDF file. If you don't know what a PDF is, you just Google it. Just Google it. That's what the kids say now. Just Google it. But I have a sneaking suspicion some people may not know Jim or may not know Randall. I think we need to quantify this and find out exactly what the numbers are, because it's troubling to think that perhaps if they did ever start doing a podcast, they may have to introduce themselves. I don't want them to have to do that. I just want them to launch right in with no introductions, because
This show. What is the reasoning for it? But before we do that, anybody who might be new, I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who know Jim, but don't know me. There might be some people listening that know me, but don't know Jim. We're going to take a minute to kind of introduce ourselves, give our background info.
the thing I like about this show, and the reason I'm a regular subscriber and listener, and I have it playing in speakers throughout my home 24 hours a day, the humility. I mean, their willingness to admit that there may not be people out there who know us. There may be people who are unfamiliar with us as human beings. Even though I taught in Gresham County for 12 years, Gresham County, West Virginia, I mean, there might be people who don't know
West
me.
Virginia?
I don't know. I think I heard them.
Well,
I think I did hear them mention
Jim
West
Clayton,
Virginia.
who has a YouTube video. I'm interested if it's the same person. But go ahead and, I want to
Folks, so
hear
you kind of know
Jim.
where it is we're coming from on this. So I'm going to throw to Jim and let him kind of talk for a minute about himself, because I know he loves to talk a little bit.
Oh, boy, was this a mistake. Now, I'm just going to tell you now, Jim talks. We're at 1 minute and 50 seconds in. Jim talks until about 10 minutes and 30 seconds. So,
Well, I know Jim likes to
gosh,
talk.
I hear you, buddy. Well, again, this is just something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. 2008, and then went to Cabell Midland and finished up there.
school teaching history.
So I've been in the thick of every day for me. It doesn't happen for everybody else, but okay. So I had to learn through.
By the way, for this entire 10 minutes and 30 seconds, Randall does nothing but an occasional yep. Yep. And I'm thinking to myself as I'm listening to that, that's a good thing they're paying that $9.99 a month.
That's true.
They're getting their money's worth.
Trial and error, learn through experience, and I learned along the way. One of the biggest lessons that I probably didn't know, especially being in education, is that failure and success are not opposites. They run.
Ooh. Now listen, did you catch what he said just now?
Wait, he learned something that he didn't know.
I mean, that is, let me tell you something. I'm gonna make my kids listen to this tonight. Because
really quick though, just one quick comment. You're thinking about saying how they're going to really enjoy that $9.99 payment. They're in the same room because this guy didn't get Jim to dial in from his Rodecaster to connect to him.
Would they both have to pay the $9.99?
I don't think so.
Or
think
just one
of them
person does?
Yeah.
Is it kind of like having Plex and sharing your movie library with somebody, and as long as you're a Plex pass holder, they can all connect?
One of the biggest lessons
Plex is better. Plex is giving value for the infrastructure that you host.
I love Plex. I use it all the time. And in fact, something I recommend is if you're a Plex user, put your I should share my Plex library with you, Curtis. If you're a Plex user, also throw all your music on there. And then there's an app called Plex Amp that you can install. And you've got a proper music player for your music library, which is residing within your Plex server. It's really amazing stuff. But
the other thing, another quick hack with that is pay 1 year of Apple's Music Match service for $24.99. Upload your music library of whatever quality it was, and they'll let you download the full high quality versions, the HD version.
Really?
Yeah, I learned that hack.
And there's no copy protection.
As long as they have a match to it in their system. So like if they don't have the song, they have every song, of course, in iTunes. But if they don't have the license for it, like some artists like Garth Brooks isn't in their system, and I've got all of Garth Brooks's discography. If you upload
I celebrate his entire catalog.
Exactly. But I know he's not in there. So like it'll only give you like,
Are you serious? Are you a big Garth Brooks fan?
No, I mean I know Garth Brooks. I like Garth Brooks, but I'm not like I can't tell you massive details about him.
You're like, I know Garth Brooks. I live near Garth Brooks. I shop in the same stores as Garth Brooks. I see his vehicle at the same intersections as me, but no, not a fan.
Let me just say this. My favorite Garth Brooks album is the one that doesn't even have his name on it, where he pretended to be somebody else.
Chris Gaines was the name of that.
That was the
alter
best
ego.
Garth Brooks album. But anyway,
When the thunder rolls,
He's
will
got
this
good
get me a
songs.
YouTube copyright strike?
yeah, you already got it right there. We lost our one viewer too.
It's a
not a
shame.
Garth Brooks fan, or
My
maybe they are.
experiences.
I just fast forwarded about 4 minutes.
When you ask a player, how did you do? They go, we won, we lost. And I said, that's not what I asked.
That's not what. Oh boy, I just know this guy.
Wait, when someone does that to you, they ask you a question and they say, "That's not what I asked." Just walk away, because I guarantee nothing good is going to come for you in that conversation after that.
That is like such a self-serving way to communicate with another person, isn't it?
That's
That's not
just
what
like-
I asked.
That's just like calling into a radio show to hear yourself talk.
Yeah, that is really... By answering the way you did, you just gave me an opportunity to dress you down for 5 minutes. Here we go.
Yeah.
I said, how did you do?
How did you do?
And they say, well, I did pretty good. But you see, they forget how good
Pretty famous basketball players as well.
made some players along the way, too. You know what I mean?
And look, I've seen that picture of you and Michael Jordan hanging on the wall.
Yeah. Now, that was
That was at a
probably
meet and greet. It cost $520. I got 2 seconds with him.
Kind of reminds me of the time I met Jake the Snake Roberts at Central Hardware. A seminal moment in my life.
the best of the best. But I'd already been a little bit. Oh, he is the best of the best. Let me clear.
Look, I've rubbed some shoulders. I've rubbed a few shoulders. And I've caressed a few as well. I've bitten a few shoulders. I've drop kicked a few shoulders. I've hitch kicked a few shoulders. No one
Clear
ever-
that up real
Anyway.
quick.
Yeah.
But I've been with some other NBA teams before I really
He's
got
been
connected with him. I was with the. You don't know John Maxwell.
He's still
You
going.
don't really know a whole
7
lot
minutes
about
in.
leadership. He's only written about 100.
So he's going to talk to you about leadership because he's a leader. And
So this guy is an actual NBA shooting instructor.
who
Like
is?
the Jim Clayton guy. He has to be the guy I just found a video of. I'm trying to think how the routing is. Can you hear this?
So he actually has a job with the NBA?
No, he's a trainer.
For the NBA?
Yeah, for NBA players. So so he has this thing that he looks like he's a part of or was called Championship Productions, and it says Jim Clayton is the Sports City U Basketball Academy, Nike, and NBA shooting instructor. I mean, I don't know. Like, the thing is, the problem with the internet today.
When I type Jim Clayton, all I get is Jim Clayton obituary. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, there's a bunch of different Jim Claytons, but this. Hold on, I can't route it. Let me just put this video to you so you can play it. Hold on, put it in the back channel chat.
So it's definitely the same guy.
Well, play this and let's see. But again, like what I was going to say is on the internet, you can make yourself seem bigger than you really are.
Now, when you watch this drill, I know you've seen it.
Oh
him,
my
right?
God, this guy looks exactly as I imagined.
Yes,
This is like the exposure drill, okay? And here's what I need. I need you guys right out here. I want you to watch this. Give me a straight line about right here. You're going to the basket. I want you to dribble in and shoot a right-hand layup, okay? I want you to go through twice.
And that's how you
Ready,
win at
go.
life.
You know something like maybe it's the fact that I used LSD in my younger years that makes me break things down in a really granular way. That like you have all these constructs you're surrounded by, but I think my psychedelic experiences as a young man caused me to be immune to these constructs that everyone just accepts. And so I see like grown men walking around on a court. Now what you're going to do is you're going to run up there and you're going to lay it up. And as you're in the air laying it up, you're going to tap your toes together. All right? We're going to do that twice. You're going to tap your toes together twice. Like I'm just like mentally breaking down all of this and how unimportant all of it is and how meaningless it is. And yet the amount of weight people assign to this stuff, like
That's the key part, the weight they assign to it.
like he really thinks he's splitting the atom here. I guarantee it.
He's got a system.
Okay.
Go ahead and go back to the
Now,
podcast. I
here's
just want to
a
see if that was
defensive
right. So this guy,
tip. If you're
it's a coin flip whether or not he really is a thing or is he just a guy who touched,
You can
Michael
just
Jordan.
end that sentence right there.
a bestseller.
Yeah.
Okay, so I went down and trained with him and learned and got, the best of the best. It's cool.
9 minutes.
I said, well, use it. So the next day, they want to know the word of the day today.
10
Thanks for
minutes.
sharing that, Coach. I needed that today. And I go, if it helps one person, to me, it's worth it.
Listen,
I could have finished
if the
that
big
sentence.
beautiful bill saves one life, if it saves one, it was all worth it.
Oh, that whole paradigm right there, talking about constructs, that whole thing of if whatever it is that I have recommended to you can do one good thing, everything bad about it was worth it. Use
Maybe
that in your
yeah.
marriage, use that in your parenting, use that when you get pulled over by the police for speeding. It works in every situation.
It really does. I had never thought about it in that way, but you really could apply that thinking to just about any situation, couldn't you?
Yes.
And make yourself feel better about what otherwise is a complete and abject failure.
Right.
It's worth it. I don't worry about 100,000 people, one person. That's the key. And that's how the whole thing kind of started.
Yeah.
And that's how I met you. I was doing a motivational speech at Teen
And
Institute.
Oh man, can you imagine sitting through this, like that motivational speech from that guy?
Well,
I
you
feel
know
like
why
I'm
that guy
almost
was
being
there.
too hard on these guys.
Wait,
but I have
hold
to
on.
say,
Wait.
Randall's response to you in that Facebook
Listen,
group,
though, Randall went to a motivational speech that this guy gave. He was there in the crowd and paid money to sit and listen to this.
So this is why Randall is the way
We'll
he
talk
is.
about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So-
Like that's what I just heard. Am I misinterpreting it?
I'm not sure. I missed that.
Go
My
back.
background info, like Jimmy, I was an educator. I still work in education, but I'm not in the classroom. I haven't been in the classroom for over 10 years now. And I tell people I miss it because I miss the kids. I miss the interaction with the
This is Randall, who was yelling that if you can't pay $9.99 a month for something that should be free anyway, because you've already bought hardware that's entirely capable of doing what it is that the Rodecaster is going to be doing through this firmware update, you're a loser. This is that guy.
students. When you teach a student something, and it's so cliche to use it, but it's so
Now, Curtis, he was teaching you something. You
Was
didn't
he?
understand that the problem here is you just don't want to pay that $9.99. And if he can teach that to you and make you understand that, and when he sees that light bulb go off in your head, and he knows if it just got through to one person, the whole thing was worth it. Every comment under that Facebook post, every one of them was worth it. If he can just get that light bulb to go off in one mind, and that day, Curtis, you were that mind.
true. That light bulb that goes off above their head.
I didn't know he was going to say that. Just holy
Oh,
shit.
dude, we could like that would be a fun thing is to drop the needle and then see if we can finish a statement.
Okay, let's try that. Here
Yeah.
we go.
Okay.
When you see that happen, when those eyes get big because they've got it, that jaw drops because they're so just caught off guard by something. That feeling is the best feeling
In Alaska.
in the world. I know you
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
You'll ever experience.
know it. I know it.
You know it, even if you've never been a teacher. You know it, and I know it. Everyone knows it.
Anybody who's ever taught in a classroom and had success knows it.
But
That
wait,
feeling, I miss.
success and failure aren't two ends to the same thing.
Let
What
me
was
tell
it
you.
that Jim said?
Let me tell you, I taught at a vocational school for about 3.5 years, and all it did to me was make me lose a lot of faith in humanity. That's really what
I did. I did for a short period of time to fill in corporate training for a product, and I don't have the mentality to do that. And by short time, I mean just like a couple weeks of classes that were registered, and the normal trainer wasn't available, so I filled in.
I think teaching in a vocational school, these are adults I was teaching, I lost so much faith in humanity. Like my opinion of human beings really was degraded as a result of that experience. I mean, we're talking about grown people who would message you in the morning when class starts and tell you they're not going to make it in until maybe 10:30 or 11 in the morning because they got a really bad flat tire and they're stuck on the side of the road and they have to get that dealt with. And this actually happened. And
I've
send you
experienced with employees in the past. I think what you're about to say.
and send you a picture of a tire that is wildly blown out. The tread is separated from the tire. I mean, it is like wildly. That is like the quintessential textbook definition of the term blown out. And Then you do a Google image search for the photo, and you see that it was posted in a car talk forum 3.5 years ago. I mean, like, these are adults, and this is what they're doing. You know,
That's the
and
veneer
it's like
of
you
the
didn't
world,
ask
though.
them to come to this school.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unreal. It really will shake your faith in humanity.
Well, so an equivalent story is having somebody in a moment that you know they're going to do something that they don't want to deal with, like a coworker or employee, and so they call in, and the same day that they call in, they post on social media about, you know, whatever fun thing they're doing or at the bar drinking or something. It's like, you do know we are connected, right? Like, I don't actually care because I know what's happening.
It's like, couldn't you have just been honest with me?
Yeah.
And just say, hey, you know what? I'm just not feeling it today. I really don't want to do anything today. I could respect that because I feel that way a lot. I feel that way a lot of days. Now, I have responsibilities, so I can't give in to those feelings. But I understand, believe me. I mean, there are a lot of mornings I wake up and I would just really rather go back to sleep. And you just kind of can't do that. But if someone would just be honest with me and tell me that's what the problem is, I could at least respect that.
100%.
I worked in education. I've
tell me less. You know, like if you don't need to tell me, just don't tell me. Say, hey, you know, I have my reasons.
Work in education.
Go ahead.
I was a teacher. I taught social studies, mostly history, some geography, sociology. I loved sociology. I loved teaching that course. I was in a classroom for 6 years, and then I slid into the tech side.
That's why you're doing a Shooting It Straight podcast about sports.
In education, was a tech coach for about 2.5 years at Huntington Middle and Cabell County schools here in West Virginia, and left Cabell County and went to Putnam County, worked in the technology department in Putnam County for another 2.5 years.
Now, see, I think that probably some of the most compelling podcast content you could deliver to an audience is to just effectively read your resume to them. I mean, I think that that's really where it's at. That is the future of broadcast.
So before I left, and I lived in
a tent that was stolen from Walmart down by a McDonald's that had been shut down for 3 years. Let's see if that's what he says.
Wayne County at the time, and the high school that I graduated from, Spring Valley High School, had a position open, and I went back there, stayed there for about 8 months.
Like, listen to this. I mean, by the way, we're 11 minutes and 43 seconds into this,
and realized I needed to move. I had moderate things happen in podcasting, but it's allowed me to make.
Overall, this is a 40-minute episode.
Connections with people that I never thought I'd have connections with, people that I can reach out to and go, hey, I've ran into this problem. Can you give me an idea? Can you kind of guide me along?
That's how we're connected to him, right? Is like the connections to the podcasting world that he's made. And what he does was crapped on somebody who had a point of view. And then when another podcaster tried to give information to support that point of view, he tried to crap on me.
Isn't it amazing how, like, just genuine and innocent he makes himself sound here? But he's really an ass when you look at the way he communicates with people in that Rodecaster thread. Let me go.
Been involved in the space. I've had
space.
I can't say I've had success. I had moderate things happen in podcasting, but it's allowed me to make connections with people that I never thought I'd have connections with, people that I can reach out to and go, hey, I've ran into this problem. Can you give me an idea?
So the value in making new contacts is just being able to bother them with your bullshit technology problems that you don't know how to fix, so that they can waste their time helping you to fix your bull crap problems so that you can shoot it straight with people on the internet.
I can make a connection here. That sounds like the average bell gapper. So he might be a spec sheet listener.
And help me get there with what I'm doing in podcasting. And it's been amazing. It's been great. You know, people I never thought I'd ever talk to in my life, like Adam Curry. Adam Curry is the guy that invented podcast.
He invented podcasting. And I talked to him. I sent him an email one time and he responded.
Listen, everyone has talked to Adam Curry. All Adam Curry has to do is time to talk to people. So, I mean, I don't know anyone who hasn't talked to Adam Curry, at least once.
He's the Podfather. He to
He's the
this
goat. He's the goat.
he is. He won't say
Ugh.
he is now.
I am so sick and tired of people saying he's the goat.
Mm-hmm.
Where did this come from? The goat thing. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I don't use it. I don't accept it. I don't
Sports,
acknowledge
man.
it.
Yeah.
And it's one of these things. Oh, it's the bomb. Remember in the
Mhm.
90s, everything was the bomb. This is the
Oh, yeah.
bomb. Well, this is that. This is today's equivalent of that. And believe me, it's going to go away soon.
Now he used to. Now he says that because he's had changes in his life. Now he says that God just guided him to it, to find a way to get messages out in a new way.
Something I
Curtis,
can't
be
listen to
quiet.
any more of this show. Let's go to the tail end here and just see how they wrap this up.
Brothers. And I went, Southern rock was not what I meant. I said, I'm thinking more like that Southern California country rock sound. He's like, okay. I said, the Eagles.
Oh, there's really digging deep into the, when there's really getting obscure on people. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Eagles. Before Don Felder came in, he's like, okay. I said, maybe Jackson Brown. And it's like that light bulb went off and he went,
Doctor, my eyes. Like
So
that whole,
I think
that
every
whole
podcast
scene.
this guy has ever done, he's brought up Adam Curry.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. So, like, we have talked about Art Bell before, but we don't bring him up every episode, right? But I think we should, just in honor of Randall. Like, let's talk about the fact that we have communicated with Art Bell every podcast we do.
I never, ever, ever even mention to anyone that I interviewed Art Bell for 2 hours. I never even mentioned that to anybody.
No one, like, in the real world, no one knows anything about that for me.
But
my
like this guy,
connections.
could you imagine if he had like every show opener back?
Wait,
Hey,
hold on.
I'm Randall.
If he
I
had
interviewed Art
relaunched
Bell.
The career of a Hall of Fame radio broadcaster. I think, yeah.
Like
he
that
would
would
talk
be
about
the
it every day.
introduction to himself in every internet broadcasting endeavor that he participates in. Like if sending an email to Adam Curry generated this much excitement for this guy, could you imagine?
got it. And a couple days later, he sent
Believe me, this is almost done.
me just a basic MIDI file. He's like, what do you think of this? And I was like, okay, that's good. And I sent it to Jim, and Jim's like, yeah, this is going to be good.
Off the charts. It was off
So-
the charts.
He worked on it, put that together, and we want to give a big shout out and thank him for that. Rick, you did a great job, and we appreciate that.
Love it. Love it.
Appreciate it, and we it sets the tone on the show. It builds us in, and it's gonna catch you here on the way out. Here in a second when we close out the show, but come back each week. We're going to be here. We're going to be spreading this message.
The same message, boy. Sign me up.
I mean, that makes the
building-
production a lot easier.
Up these life.
Actually, yeah, they just post the same. They're like, he meant that shit literally.
Yes.
Like they just like literally upload the same MP3 file every week. Holy hell. Well, you could have some deviations, maybe speed up the audio one week, slow it down the next. Maybe you could have AI chop some of it up and rearrange some of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Why
Let's
wouldn't you?
start a podcast called Shooting the Narrow Straight and then do that. Like the first episode, we'll just do cliches for 20 minutes straight and then we'll repost it every week.
Something that I always had a problem with is, there's absolute dreck and bilge out there in the podcasting world like this that we just heard. And yet there are people out there who lap this stuff up. And when I used to podcast on a pretty regular basis, it got to where when anybody would compliment me on my podcast or just any compliment that would get offered to me, if I would become aware of some of the other things that these people listen to, it would just totally erase whatever compliment had been given to me. And I got to where no matter what nice thing anyone would say to me about my podcasting pursuits, it just rolled right off of me because I knew that there is so much garbage out there that people are listening to that I could never make it through more than maybe 3 minutes of. Yet there are people out there just lapping this up. And it just led me to be immune to any compliments from anybody where my podcasting is related.
That's unfortunate because like I listen to a lot of podcasts, a lot of bad ones and some good ones. And you have like your desire for excellence puts you in and your ability, you have a natural ability to be eloquent quickly and jump up to speed on any topic, or even just navigate a conversation that maybe you don't have expertise in, but you have curiosity, that you are up there with the ability that a very small group, let's just say a select group of people who do podcasting have. So to hear that you're numb basically to it is unfortunate, because I've always believed that if given the chance to make it a career and to pursue the excellence that I know you can achieve, you would crush the majority of them.
See, Curtis, what you just said to me did nothing for me.
I did that all on purpose. I meant none of it. I just wanted you to feel that.
It absolutely did nothing for me.
I wanted to see the nothingness on your face.
Well, thank you. That's mighty nice and neighborly of you. But,
just shooting us straight.
There's no opportunity needed. I mean, all I got to do is sit down in front of a microphone and start podcasting. I mean, it's really that simple.
But you and I both know that, I mean, I think they call it pod fade right now, that to do it at the excellence level that you want to, it's work. It might not seem like work.
Oh, it is.
But to just show up and not care about it, yeah, anyone can do that. And you can do it for a period of time. But to do it and actually care about the end result, even if no one watches it or listens to it, that takes a toll on you every week. And you got to, like, the scales have to tip just slightly to your advantage to do it long term. And it's really hard to do it. And some people hit lightning in a bottle, other people grind through it, and then others start podcast after podcast after podcast after podcast because they can't do either of them. They end up maybe grinding out of it. And I probably fall into this category more than any other. You keep trying, but if you just would grind through the first idea, you might catch on to something. But it's hard to do. It's hard to do it without seeing some kind of return on your investment relatively quickly. And the investment doesn't have to be financial. It's community building and all of that. Like, having been a part of a community that you've built in the past, I know that it's alchemy. It's a little bit skill. It's a little bit luck. But it's a lot of work of maintaining whatever that mix was. Like, to keep a community somewhere in the digital space. Well, anywhere, not even just digital. I just use the word space, and I hate when I hear that.
I think that might be one of my aversions to doing it, is I don't want to build a community. And you inherently kind of have to if you're going to do this sort of thing. I've been a part of that. I've been the guy who's getting emails constantly all day long about minutia from people that I don't know, about things that I don't care about, things that they think I ought to change, things that they think I ought to do differently, things that they like or they don't like. Or I don't want that in my life. I have no interest in it whatsoever.
I think that's why you and I worked well together, because I didn't come to, like, when you and I started to connect after just me calling into shows and then being a part of the shows, like throughout all of that community stuff, it wasn't until much later on when it was invited did I even have an opinion on how to do it. It was more, what can I do to help keep it going? Because that would be, I could not imagine how painful it would be to have to listen to hundreds of people who think they know how to do what you did, but haven't put the effort into doing it, trying to tell you how to do it better. It would be unbearable.
That was pretty much my daily existence.
I believe it.
People telling me how to do a better job of what I've already done. It's like, hey, I put together a website that managed to capture some lightning in a bottle. Maybe not a tremendous amount, but I mean, there was a point where BellGab was making me a couple $1,000s a month.
Oh yeah,
on a pretty consistent basis. And I mean, how many people manage that with some forum software? I mean,
Right.
you can install a forum script on your server, but I mean, that's the easy part.
it's just like a podcast, though. Anyone can host a podcast. Like the barrier to entry back when you did it was much higher than it is today.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
There's just so much noise out there, like what we just listened to, that breaking through all of that, I mean, you would have to be delivering such a tremendous product that you would have to be bringing so much value to the table. And in order to do that, it would have to consume your life. You would have to allow it to consume your life. If I were wealthy and I didn't have to work and I had no obligations beyond just raising my kids, I think I'd do it. In fact, I know I would do
Yeah,
it.
well, that's what I was saying. Like, if you had some way, like, you would crush it if you had that. But where is the incentive for you in any other scenario to do that? Because, like, what we do is for fun. Like, the whole thing earlier talking about, like, we lost a subscriber when I did something that I wanted to do. Like, my live streams to live stream coding an app. I already am a developer, right? I've already proven that I can develop things in the real world. So the idea that I'm going to take the request someone had from me and I'm going to use AI to do it is really just for my own fun, right? There's no value in it ultimately other than to say I did it and then to live stream it. So I didn't expect to get a following. I expected to hear complaints because it was just me on the live stream. And like, there's no value to it other than what I wanted to get out of it to say I did it. And like, I'll keep doing it too. Like, I'm not going to stop doing that. But it's not serving some bigger goal. And you either got to be that person who is just doing it because you want to do it, or you are unshackled to all of the requirements of your life that you can devote what you want to build the product of the quality you want and build ultimately that community, which is what I'm saying there. Like, if you had like a benefactor that gave you, they paid all of your expenses to allow you just to live your life and live stream, just show up and live stream every night for like an hour or two about whatever you want to, like, that scenario you would crush it at too. So you got to pick which one you are, and you obviously don't have the benefactor right now. So you're either doing this for what interests you, or you're not doing it at all.
Well, Curtis, start digging, see if you can discover who this benefactor might be.
Oh yeah.
And,
well, I think they're listening right now.
We'll make some magic happen. How about that?
I mean, all we need is one white crow, right?
These references of yours. It's like no one is going to understand these references.
I know.
Anyway.
Let's jump over to testing out CallMe.
Well, actually, I'm going to have to get out of here soon.
Well, this is going to be quick, I think. I just want to see, does it work? So
I need to open up, I need to go to a URL, I assume.
You need to go to CallMe. Here, I'm going to put it in our chat here. The CallMe.Rode.com. If we had more listeners, I would put all this publicly because I'm actually really interested. But
so really, I need to drop out of the Restream connection entirely.
I don't think so.
Or I could just like
you just need to open a browser tab.
Mute my audio here.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. I'll mute my audio here. So give me a moment.
Go to that website and type in that code. Somebody got it. I'm not hearing you yet. I wish I could show. Oh, here we go. Getting a call from Michael. Michael. Can you hear that echo?
Okay. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so I ended up having to just leave Restream.
All right.
Let's see. I've got the automatic mic gain enabled, and you sound great. I mean, but there's no excuse for you not to.
Right. Well, I guess I'm hearing myself through you, aren't I? You're coming back to. I'm coming back through your connection.
What do you mean? You're hearing yourself?
I'm hearing myself. Yeah. Supposedly, this is supposed to do mix minus.
Check which playback device you're using in the Rode thing, because I'm using the same.
Well, it's mix minus automatically is what they say. So it's got to be something. Do you still have? Do you have Restream open or something?
No, I closed it entirely.
Weird. I hear myself really quickly back. Like very little delay.
Let's see. Hold on. Speak.
All right. Talking.
Do you still hear yourself?
Yeah. Are you using your?
I'm using the chat channel on
my
Rodecaster, so it should be mix minus.
Weird. Okay. I mean, you do sound good. Talk for a little bit.
Hold on. I need to go. Let's see. Is it possible on the fly in the browser to tell it what microphone to use? I think that may be the issue here.
Are you able to share your screen with it? Because I'm curious what it looks like.
No.
Okay.
I'll take a picture of it and just text that to you.
All right, it's fine. Once I get my phone charged, I'll
such a ghetto way of demonstrating to you what I'm seeing here. There you go.
I'm curious on the stream. Are you hearing me twice?
No. I mean, you sound totally normal. I think the reason it's got a drop down on this page where I can select my speaker device, but there's nothing for me to select my microphone, which I find odd.
Yeah.
And so I don't know why you would be hearing yourself. That makes no sense to me technically here.
You do sound really good.
Do I sound better than I did on Restream?
No. I mean,
you should sound basically
you sound pretty close. Yeah.
Let me eliminate the automatic mic gain. It won't let me turn that off. I guess I would have to disconnect. Let me text this to you. And there you go. What do you think about that? See how it's got the drop down for speakers, but there's no way. That's odd that they don't provide a mechanism of choosing what microphone you want to use.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to see it. My phone's recharged. Hold on.
Oh, your phone's still dead.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Well, hold on. I'll see what I can do.
You know, this has been something that you and I have always kind of wanted to do, which is to just randomly test stuff live on the air, having no idea how it's going to work.
Well, you know, if this is one person, it was all worth it. And we really should just play random podcasts like we did. This one was totally random.
It's kind of like that. There is a show that just does that. It's called "Who Are These Podcasts?" Mm-hmm. Have you heard of that?
No. That's unfortunate. I thought it was a unique idea.
That is literally what they do. Let me go into my sound settings, and then I'll go into, advanced sound options. I should be able to select the default devices for the Brave browser, chat, and then chat. Okay. Do you still hear yourself?
Let's see. Yes, I do.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, maybe it is me, but I don't know how it would be because they claim that it'll be routed as mix minus.
Okay, hold on. I have multiple instances of Brave browser here.
Okay, now I see the screenshot.
How about now? Do you still hear yourself?
Let's see. Yeah, I do.
Okay, fuck it. I don't know why.
That's fun to hear yourself laugh.
That's annoying. I don't know why. I'm mainly annoyed that they don't have a drop down here to choose your your
Input.
input device. I mean, that is
Yeah.
perplexing. I don't know why they wouldn't have that. Let me
Yeah,
try
yeah.
disconnecting and see if that's configurable before I connect. Hold on.
Okay. All right. So you just got me again. If anyone in our chat wants to try to call this too, just say so, and I will put the link in the chat. You can try to call in. Here we got our call. Adding. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right.
Seems like it took a long time for you to be able to answer.
That was me. I wasn't looking down at the device. Well, wait a minute. I'm not hearing myself now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So what happened?
Okay, so then what probably happened was I went into the Windows sound settings where you can choose the audio devices for particular applications as they're running. And I selected the chat channel on the Rodecaster for the Brave browser. But I think because it was an active use at the time I was doing that, it didn't, nothing stuck. So ending the call, releasing the audio interface, and then reinitiating the call, I think is what did it. I disabled the automatic mic gain. Did that have any noticeable
Yeah.
effect?
I mean, you do sound good. I mean, you sound really good. It's almost like you're in the room with me. And
Really?
It seems like,
Is it arousing?
well, maybe a little, but I wasn't going to say that on the air. Bam!
Curtis is quarter chub right now.
Bam! That's my new thing. I need to get a clip
do
of
that
that.
every time now. Bam!
Bam! Let's see. I'd like to do a comparison, though. Can you hang up, actually talk for just a moment? Like, let's see how it deals with you being because I'm wondering how much this is full duplex. Talk for a little while to where it decides you're the priority and see what you sound like. And then after you're done, I'll have you reconnect to restream and let's hear how that sounds. It'll be nice to be able to come back and hear the recording.
All right, so, I'm just going to burn some time here rambling into this microphone in order to allow Curtis to make some sort of a determination here. As I'm doing so, I'm staring at this Rodecaster and I'm realizing I never use these hotkey buttons in this panel here. Like, I don't do anything with them. And when I bought this thing, one of the things that I was so excited about are these hotkeys, these rubber pad hotkeys that you can program to play different little drops of audio. You can actually do voice changer stuff on. I've never tried that. I want to give that a shot here. Let's see. I'm going to try the voice changer. Okay.
Hold on. Curtis, did that change my voice?
Yes, it did.
Okay. Bam!
There we go.
Bam! I told these kids, you run at full court, you run up to that basketball goal, you throw that ball in there, and then you're going to see some action. You're going to see some things happen that you never thought possible. The gates of hell are going to open up, and you're going to get swallowed.
That actually is really creepy to have that sound on it. Can you hear the sound?
So I said, bam! We're going to do a podcast together. We're going to get on that microphone. We're going to cut crawdad at the same time we're talking to people. And we're going to let them know that if you don't wash that crawdad bucket multiple times, you're going to be eating crawdad poop. That's just the way it is. You're going to put them crawdads in there. You're going to wash them. You're going to pour. You're going to rinse, wash, repeat 33 times to the point where the crawdads have pooped out everything that could be conceivably considered crawdad. There's nothing left of them but a husk and a shell because everything that comprised them has been pooped away. Why are you even bothering to eat them anymore?
Let's see.
That is creepy, man.
I need to use this one. I need to use this one more frequently. This is like or no, I want one that makes you sound like you're
On a phone call.
Yeah, there's an air horn one, or not air horn, but there's one
I
that.
don't know what the purpose of this one is. I would want to use this. This sounds like shit. Here's another one that I don't really understand the purpose of. I didn't think anybody would really have any use for this.
Oh, this is so that when I when I shoot expletives into the microphone. Curtis, you are really a
Yeah, a great person.
Curtis, you're a complete it.
Yes, I am.
Let's see, what does this one do?
You got me looking at these settings now too.
Ducking. I
Yeah,
can.
that one's interesting.
Yeah, that one isn't that for like when you're playing audio under your voice, you can hit the ducking. Or no, that ducks
Yeah,
the
that's right.
audio that's playing.
Yeah,
doesn't
ducks. Yeah, whatever channel you set it to, right?
Let's see what else we got here. That's it. That's all the. I think obviously going.
Wait, what the are you doing?
Going forward, this is the one for me.
Is this the one you're looking for? No, that doesn't really sound. Like, do you hear the megaphone effect happening?
No.
All right. Do you hear me sounding like a robot?
No.
Gosh, mine doesn't seem to do it. How
I
about
wonder
now?
why? There must be some kind of a way to configure the routing for that.
Wait, now? Nope, not now. Yeah, it's probably not coming through my talk back. Do you hear the sensor?
Yeah, I do hear that.
You.
I'm just thinking of all the things I can do with that beep.
I love a fake beep. It's one of the best things you can do.
Well, anyway.
Okay, so I mean, it works. Now that
it works.
what you need to do next? Oh wait, go to Restream.
But
Go back.
we can only use this for another 9 hours and 45 minutes, Curtis.
No, we actually can we can use it for less. The web hours, we only have 4 hours and 49 minutes.
What garbage. Rode should be ashamed of themselves. And Randall, who's
No,
you're cheerleading this?
Yeah. It's sad. Go back to Restream though. I want to get a good comparison.
Okay, let's go back.
All right. Hey, wait, hold on. Let me see if I can hang up on you. Done. So I just did something that I know everybody wants to do, which is hang up on Michael. So I guess the question also, as we wait, as I fill time here, is if we start taking live calls again, are you guys going to call? I want you to, because I would do the AI assisted web app creation. I would keep doing that with call-in requests if you want to, or we could start talking about tech. But if we're going to use this, if we're going to pay $10 a month for it, you all need to use it too.
How's this? I have now returned. Do you hear me?
I hear you, but you're quieter for me now than you were.
That's odd.
And you're at the same level on my mixer.
I've changed nothing.
Yeah. I mean, you still sound good, but you were a little bit louder in the CallMe channel than you are on my chat channel.
I find this really annoying. I just don't understand Rode's choice and how to implement this. It annoys me, and I think it's a missed opportunity. And I on the other hand, I'm not particularly surprised by this, considering this is a company that made me pay $50 for a plastic cover to put over my Rodecaster so that it wouldn't suck up 10 pounds of dust per year. Every mixer I've ever owned, that's been its Achilles heel, is the amount of dust it winds up absorbing. And Behringer mixers in the past had always kind of been my go-to because they're cheap for what you get. They're kind of amazing. And actually, in the last 5 years or so, Behringer has really stepped up their game. They've come out with all kinds of analog replicas of old 80s synths and drum machines. I don't know if they've released this yet, but there's a really famous drum machine that came out around like 1977 or 79 called the Linn drum, Linn drum. Look it up. Tons of hits that you may enjoy.
I think I know it
from the 80s used this.
From a YouTube video. I've heard it, but I don't know enough about it.
So Behringer released a replica of this. Schematically, it's identical. It's analog. Now, I don't know if they've released it yet. They probably have. But that's just one example of the many pieces of vintage analog 80s synth equipment that Behringer has schematically replicated analog all the way and released, and it's really great high quality stuff. So Behringer really stepped up their game in the last 5 years. But prior to that, they had a reputation of just being a cheap company that makes cheap crap for cheap people who want cheap things. And so I would always go with Behringer mixers just because of that fact. It was cheap and it got the job done. It was what I needed. I had digital audio interfaces that I was connecting to PCs in order to do all the broadcasting. Listen how uppity I am. To do all the streaming we used to do, the podcasting, and enabling remote connectivity between the two of us, I just used external audio interfaces, connected my Behringer mixer. The Behringer mixer didn't need to be anything other than a dumb piece of analog audio routing equipment. And but now, if you buy Behringer equipment now, you're actually getting some really amazing stuff. And anyone who has in the past poo-pooed Behringer and just passed them over, I really highly recommend giving Behringer another look. They've completely changed, and I don't know what the mechanism or the catalyst behind all of this was.
Well, either they got bought or someone else, or they bought someone else. But I know that there's been some mergers that have occurred in the Behringer world, which is happening all across everything. But
look into some of their replications of vintage analog synth equipment, particularly the synth equipment. It's really amazing what they've done. And if you're a musician who has any interest at all in replicating some of those 80s sounds, you can, like the Lindrum. You can't buy. I mean, you can't get an original working Lindrum anymore. I mean, you could, but I mean, you would have to pay a crazy amount of money for it. I mean, and it probably would have blown caps and blown capacitors and all kinds of other problems that you'd have to address before you could even use it. And even then, if you didn't get capacitors that were just dead on identical, at least in terms of their specs and probably their composition, their physical chemical composition to the originals, I mean, it would have to affect how the thing works and how it sounds. It would have to. So they've really done some amazing things. I'd highly recommend looking into that. Like there's I've kind of gotten into that sort of thing lately. Like I've always been kind of a decent piano player. I started playing piano as a kid just by ear. I took piano lessons for a year and just really didn't learn a thing other than
I took lessons too and basically learned how to do exactly what I was taught. I didn't learn, and that was partly me not being enough interested in it, and also just like I'm not musically inclined.
And so I know that if I got a synth, I would be able to pick this thing up and actually do some interesting stuff with it. But there's there's an Italian synth. I'm going to play some of this real quick because it's not original audio, so it won't cause a copyright strike. Let me just go here. Let me go to my Synology NAS.
Oh, nice.
Some of this up. I just love this thing, by the way. It's
just easy.
It has
works.
Changed so many things for me. I'm about to kill my Google Drive subscription. I wanted to make sure that I had everything just so before I killed my Google Drive, and I'm pretty much there.
See, I use OwnCloud and my PF NAS.
Okay.
Or PF Sense, which I'm going to switch to OPN Sense. I just haven't done it yet.
I was trying to remember what the name of this synth is. It's a synth from the 80s. It's called a Sultan Ketron Programmer 24. You should look this thing up. Why won't this play? Come on. I just want to play an example of the audio that this thing makes. Do you hear anything playing? Oh, I know why
No.
that's happening. Hold on.
While you're doing that, I want to check. So one of the other AI things I've been building, this is a behind the scenes. Michael and I have been playing with soundboards and AI generated soundboards. I want to see if these play some Paw Patrol sounds when I hit keys. Can you hear this? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Chase is on the case.
Okay, cool. So it's working.
Here we go. Still nothing.
I'll have to demo that on my next live stream.
I don't know why you can't hear that. Where's it playing at? I hear it. I think it's playing directly out of my computer speakers. I don't know why. Son of a bitch. Anyway, it's a Sultan Ketron Programmer 24. It's made by an Italian company in the 80s. It's a really obscure device. And this thing, it sounds so amazing.
Just reminded me too, thinking of 80s. Right before we started, I happened to see the band Men Without Hats released a song called, I think, I Love the 80s. I'm just like, it basically is the song Safety Dance, like restructured. Okay, I hear it now. Sounds very Talking Heads. Oh, never mind. That's Duran Duran.
Doesn't that just sound badass?
Yeah,
I
that's
love
from
that. I
that's
love that so much. It's just so analog. All they've done is they've taken an isolated vocal from "Hungry Like the Wolf" and overlaid it on top of what.
Well, hearing just the synth part of it, I thought that was Talking Heads at first,
it just sounds so amazing.
but now I hear obviously. So, what board is this played through? Is it a Wing or is it a?
What do you mean?
Or like, are you playing this from a YouTube video or?
No, I'm playing it from. I'm playing it from an MP. This was originally on a YouTube video of somebody
Okay.
demonstrating this machine, and this is an MP3 ripped from that YouTube audio.
Okay.
If you want one of these devices now that works, I mean, it's probably about $4,500, maybe $5,000.
For the original.
Yeah, and at the time it was produced, you could probably buy it for about $500.
Man.
I mean, it's just nuts. But that's why I kind of give the hat tip to Behringer, because now they haven't replicated this Sultan Ketron Programmer 24. And look this thing up if you're listening and you want to look this up. It's Sultan SOLTON Ketron KETRON Programmer 24. I won't spell programmer. Look it up. It's an amazing device, and there are tons of videos all over YouTube of people demonstrating this thing. And I've occasionally looked around and found it available here and there. I think. I've seen it on Musician's Friend and a couple other places available for sale. But I mean, easily, you're not going to buy this thing in working condition for less than $4,000. I don't think.
What's the name of it again?
Sultan Ketron Programmer 24, and this company Sultan, they made other devices in the 80s as well. It's kind of an obscure Italian company. And they made other devices, but none of them captured.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
just the punch of this thing. There's just like a beefy analog punch to this that you can't quite articulate why you like it. You can't quite quantify it.
Yeah, I see one on eBay for
Hey, honey.
$39 or $4,000.
Are you on call with someone?
I'm doing the live stream. Yeah. You know what?
Bam!
I'm gonna have to go.
Okay, yeah, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Thank you
I
for
have to go to
testing this,
sleep.
and
Okay. See ya.
talk to you later.
It's